Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of EV subscriptions for charge point operators, and I had a request from a subscriber to see if I could calculate instead what the cost per mile might be for each of these chargers. I'd done the break-even point on the last video, but on this one we're going to do the cost to drive 100 miles, the cost to drive 200, 500 and 1,000 miles. Or at least that's what I was asked to do. But what I'm actually going to do is just 100, 500, 1,000, and I thought 10,000 miles, because we'll do the use case scenario for these subscriptions. Do you just want to do them for when you're having a big holiday and you're doing an EV road trip and you might be going through Europe and you know you're going to do lots of rapid chargers, versus actually if you have to do these for 12 months, does it make sense? Because obviously you've got 12 months of the subscription rather than just one. So what's the economics in different situations? Because that was really what I wanted to find out. And these are the assumptions here. I drive Kona EV, and that does 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's what we're including in the losses. For the efficiency. I've done home losses into account and bumped up the home charging by 15%. But I haven't put that into public AC, and I haven't put the much smaller DC losses into that either. So bear in mind that these figures could be higher, particularly on public AC charging. So let's cover all the subscriptions that I went through in the last video, and there are a few, and this is a very busy slide. So here we go. This is the cost per month for all these different subscriptions and how much they reduce the charge for. So you'll just need to have a big read of this, and I will adjust where my face is so you can actually see some of this. But essentially, BP Pulse is £7.85 for a subscription, and their AC charging goes from 65 to 44p. Same for their rapid chargers below 150 kilowatts. It's 83p and it goes to 63. 87 goes to 69. Now, where you can see it in red, that's where I have focused on. So these figures are based on the red. Some of the other ones, for example, Plug Surfing and OVO, what I've done is a min and a max. I've chosen the cheapest ones. In this case, Connected Curb are the cheapest, where it would be 50p, it has gone to 40p with a 20% discount. And I've also done the highest one. So the other ones that are cost in between prices will be in between, and you'll have to calculate all that yourself. It's busy enough slide as it is. It was going to be like crazy, wasn't it? And OVO have got a £2 and an £8. Oh, I need to adapt that. That's actually £8, silly me. And I've put in how much you're going to be paying in yearly subs and what your pence per mile for each of those is. So you'll see a pound figure, that's the total spend, including subs, or these are all 1 month sub. Plus your kilowatt hours that you've used, and the 12 months is always for the 10,000 miles is always a 12-month worth of subscription. Now, Ionity do an introductory price at the moment. For your first month is only going to be £3.88 instead of £5, or £7 instead of £10.50, and I didn't include that discount anywhere. So this is all based on the higher price, because that offer won't always be on. So here we go. We can see that actually, who is the most expensive subscription? Well, it's the Ionity, and you'll be paying up to £126 a year in that, but still comes out as one of the cheapest subscriptions. Now, Tesla do have off-peak charging as well, where 42p is reduced to 34p. So actually, I haven't calculated that because that would be even cheaper, but it was a lot of work anyway. I didn't fancy doing that. If you compare this column for what the yearly fee might be, you could see that EV drivers with a home charger have a huge price advantage. For some of them, it's up to £1,500 or even more, £1,700 cheaper just to charge at home than to use a public charger, even with a price subscription. And you can see that most of that is not the subs, the most of that charge is actually what you're paying for. Now, at £1.30 a litre, my petrol Swift did 50 miles to the gallon, and that works out at 12.5p a mile. So you can see that actually some of these subscriptions come out at cost competitive amounts. So that's something to bear in mind, actually. Now, is it as convenient as a 5-minute journey to a petrol station? That will depend on where you can plug in. If, for example, you're using plug surfing or OVO, and you're plugging into a connected curb or a lamp post right outside your house, maybe that is just as convenient. But otherwise, going to some of these other brands, the rapid chargers, exactly, that will depend on whether you can weave that into your lifestyle. If, for example, there's an Instavolt or an Osprey or an Ionity at the gym, for example, or there's a Mer destination charger at the gym, for example, then that might be more convenient than a petrol station. But if you're relying on a rapid charger where you've got to literally sit and wait in the car, you're not doing anything, then perhaps that's a lot less convenient. So the tingy savings of 11p versus 12.5p may not be to your fancy because your time is worth something. But you could easily factor in the fact that, I've got to be here at this charger for half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour. I will go for a jog, I will go for a walk, I will get my supermarket shopping done. And that would mean that you are spending less time and it'd still be quicker. So it's all about if you can weave these things into your life. Now, what are the other options? Well, I haven't got a slide here for you, but for example, Osprey and Instavolt both do off-peak charging. Through their own apps without a subscription, their max 79.85p drops to 54p. So if you're particularly looking at the plug surfing, you can pay £7 a month for the privilege of reducing that 85p at Instavolt to 68p. Or you can simply just charge after 9pm and before 7am for 54p. And you will see that it'll come out at around the cost of what Fastned are charging. So you'd be looking at more like this price instead of this price. So you can save, what's that, £500 a year simply by what time you're able to charge. So if you don't mind popping up to the charger at 9:05 at night, plugging in your car, going for a late night jog or a yoga class or whatever it is you're going to do by the charger, and then coming home, then you will save that money, which it would be nice to have in your pocket, eh? All right, everyone. Thanks for having a chat, and indeed, you could save a whole lot of money. And if you look at some of the price differences, over £1,000, £1,600, £1,700, that would easily pay for a home charger, and that would easily pay off, say, a a Kerbo charge installation. So if you're, for example, thinking about the subscriptions versus your ability to home charge, well, if you can get your council on board with something like Kerbo Charge, then you could easily make that money back within a year or two, depending on how many miles you do. That's assuming that you're going to do 10,000 miles a year. You could do more than that and save more. You could do less than that and save less. All right. Like, comment, subscribe, everyone. Check out the description below for my different referral codes in order for you to support the channel. £50 off your Octopus bill. If you swap, I get £50, you get £50. There's £5 free charging credit on Instavolt or Octopus Electros below. And if you want any second-hand refurb electronics, then check out the back market link below. You get a tenner off, and I get a tenner. All right, see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.